Sonic the Hedgehog is a family-friendly movie, but there are a few things in it that'll leave older viewers scratching their heads. Much like Sonic himself, the movie zips by pretty quickly. Here are the things we saw that only adults would have noticed. Tom Wachowski, by all measures, is a good person. Sure, he's a police officer who breaks the law and ends up being hunted by the public as a terrorist, but he does it all to save his new friend Sonic. That apparent selflessness doesn't stop Rachel, the sister of Tom's wife Maddie, from hating everything about him. Of course, Tom eventually becomes a fugitive and Rachel gets tied up for good measure, finally giving her a clear reason to dislike Tom. But Rachel wasn't a fan long before all that. Rachel even goes as far as suggesting Tom and Maddie get a divorce. Maybe Tom did something off-screen or in a deleted scene, but from what we can tell, he's a good husband, loves his wife, wants to save people, and appears to be the most helpful person in Green Hills. Rachel and Maddie also seem to have a good relationship, making Rachel's hate for Tom even more unjustified.
It's all about family, Tom.
Dr. Evo Eggman Robotnik wants to catch Sonic so he can study the extraterrestrial blue hedgehog and his powers. However, this plan is misguided from the beginning, as Dr. Robotnik consistently shoots to kill. When Dr. Robotnik and Sonic first meet at Tom's house, Robotnik sends his mad scientist drones after Sonic, guns blazing. It's hard not to wonder why someone who wants to study a being would try to kill it first. Dead or alive is a common phrase bad guys use in movies, but in this case, it's more beneficial for Dr. Robotnik to keep Sonic alive. Later in the movie, Dr. Robotnik discovers one of Sonic's quills, studies its powers, and uses the quill to make his ship and drone army stronger. Clearly, there are benefits to not shooting first and asking questions later. For a guy who's supposed to be the smartest asset at the US military's disposal, Robotnik is awfully slow on the uptake.
I'm sorry, Major. What was your name? Benny? Nobody cares!
During Sonic the Hedgehog, Tom doesn't just become a wanted fugitive, he's deemed a full-blown dangerous terrorist. Yet when Dr. Robotnik magically disappears, he's apparently able to go right back to his normal life. Green Hills clearly isn't a major city, which would seem to make it incredibly difficult for Tom to even show his face outside the house. But once the government decides all's well that ends well, his fellow citizens seem to agree. Even if Tom were somehow able to offer the entire world proof of his innocence, there's no way life would return to normal that quickly. In the real world, people tend to attach negative connotations to those accused of major crimes, whether or not they're eventually convicted. Tom's career in law enforcement would seem to be yet another complicating factor. What kind of small-town cop would get to go back on patrol right after getting himself mixed up in something like this?
What am I doing?
Sonic the Hedgehog is a fairly lighthearted movie, but there's no getting around the fact that Sonic himself causes a lot of destruction. His base-running shenanigans cause the widespread power outage that sets the events of the movie's plot in motion. As a result, businesses and residents lose their power and the government and military have to step in. Those types of resources cost a lot of money. While it's Dr. Robotnik's fault for shooting up the streets with his drones and ship, none of it would have happened if Sonic hadn't been rather careless with his powers in the first place. It's entertaining to watch Sonic dodge the mustache-wearing Dr. Robotnik, but for the adults in the audience, it's hard not to wonder who's going to pay for all the cleanup and repair when it's all over. Sonic is cool, lives on his own terms, is a bit edgy and partly corny. In short, he's a big-screen character created with the cultural template of a Gen Zer. Of course, he's still a blue hedgehog who shouldn't really have any interest in or reference point to pop culture, but the filmmakers had a vested interest in making Sonic as relatable as possible to the audience while being funny for the whole family. What better way to make sure he can relate to the kids in the crowd? Of course, millennials are also part of the target demographic, since the first Sonic video game was released in 1991. Sonic's dear friend Tom is more culturally in line with older audience members, even though everyone can appreciate a good dad joke. Sonic's unintentional show of power and the massive power outage that resulted led to the government and military stepping in and hiring the clearly insane Dr. Robotnik to figure out what happened. Although Sonic the Hedgehog is meant to be a lighthearted movie that the entire family can enjoy, if an extraterrestrial blue hedgehog suddenly appeared in real life and seemed to pose some sort of threat, every branch of the military would be involved. There's no way the government would trust a single mad scientist to do the job. Jim Carrey's mugging, scene-stealing antics are one of the best parts of the movie, but they also might be the most unbelievable. Given that this is about a super-fast alien hedgehog who can talk, that's really saying something. Dr. Robotnik is the type of person who has to state his accomplishments out loud even when no one's asking. He's clearly an accomplished individual, so much so that the government tasks him with determining why the lights went out. Through this behavior, it's clear that he has to prove he's better than everyone else, and he points out the shortcomings of others simply because they took a different path. This is because people like Dr. Robotnik are insecure, possibly because he had a painful childhood. He mentions to Tom that the only other person who punched him in the face was a bully when he was younger, which may have led to him being the way he is. On the surface, he's an accomplished villain who makes the audience laugh with a touch of Jim Carrey goofiness and quirks. But deep down, he's insecure and deals with his insecurity by cutting others down, or blasting them to bits with his drone army. While the government rewarding Tom with a $50 Olive Garden gift card is meant to be funny, it's also an absolutely terrible way to say, "Thanks for saving the world." Most sane adults wouldn't be content with receiving any kind of gift card at any amount for what Tom and his family went through. The government, at the very least, should be concerned about Dr. Robotnik, their main asset. What happened is a big deal and deserves answers, yet the world seems content with simply forgetting anything ever happened and moving on. Sonic and the Wachowskis deserve a happy ending. It's a sweet, funny way of concluding this feel-good tale, but for anyone with a job and a mortgage, Sonic the Hedgehog's conclusion will make absolutely no sense. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies and TV shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.